Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of my Genealogy Live interviews. The original plan was to do 16 interviews, but I decided to bring it off as a round number. So you're in for a treat. I have two extra ones filling up, so I think my interviews will be done late June. So, and I may do a little mini series in between this summer and when I go back to school in August, September. But I've yet to work that out. But if there's any kind of like theme that you think I should bring in, or people you'd like to see me interview, drop me a tweet or comment or any, just interact and just let me know. Is probably the best way of putting it. So anyway, that's that. So on to my guest tonight, who has been attributed to so much. He's the show director of the Genealogy Show this June, 25th and 6th. She's the chairperson of One Place Studies, and if you listen to me, you would have heard me interview her for the Hidden Branch podcast. And she is also the managing director of FamilyWise Limited. It's Kirsty Gray.
Hello.
So hello, Kirsty.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I hope I got that all right.
You did.
I hope I didn't miss anything
You probably
out.
missed a few bits, but there's so many things I've done. I don't think you could put it all in like one short intro and actually be succinct. So that was great.
Fair enough. Anyway, so how have you been?
Yeah, really busy. Surprisingly, really busy, bearing in mind the show's in less than 4 weeks' time.
Yes. It's crazy to think, that this time, next month it'll all be over, and you'll be off kind
it
of the
won't
next
be
one.
though, because it'll be 30 days. If you've got a ticket, it'll be 30 days that you can still access it. So the actual event will be over.
Yeah, the live event will be over in 30 days.
Yeah.
Well, less than 30 days, but it's viewable for another 30 days until July 25th. So
absolutely.
So I've got a nice viewing for summer. Anyway, I'll talk about that more later. So I figure we may as well get started. So for people that might not necessarily know you, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kirsty Gray. As you said, I have quite a lot of hats in genealogy. The chair, well, I think we call them the chair of the One Place Studies Society, or Society for One Place Studies. And I'm also chair for the Surname Society, which I do a surname study on the surname of Silliphant and have done for many years. And as you say, have my own family history company, which I've had for the last almost 10 years. I can scarcely believe it. And started up the Gen Show, or the Genealogy Show, if you want to go for the whole thing. But the Gen Show, which is our Twitter handle, set that up in 2018 with the first one in 2019.
And you set that up with, I think, because I always try and do my research on the guests beforehand. You had started it with Sylvia Valentine. And a number of
Sylvia was involved at the beginning, but then she's very involved with her PhD, so she stepped aside. But I set it up with a board of other people as well. So a lot of key people around the world to kind of get the traction, because it's very difficult starting up a new show from scratch. So I had Jill Ball down in Australia, Dear Myrtle, Pat Ritchie Erickson over in the US, Mags Gordon, DNA specialist, Grandma's Genes, she's in Canada, John Boren. And I could go on. There were lots of people, but those ones were the ones that were really on board right from the get-go. Daniel Smith Ramos was critical with our Twitter and social media to start with before we had more people on board. So yeah, it's a very, very much a team effort.
Yeah, and I mean it was really nice to kind of see kind of how it's evolved from, obviously this will be its third year running now. I mean, it's crazy to see how much it's kind of evolved over the past 3 years. So like where you started and where you've come now.
Yeah,
and I mean it's. I mean, this is the first kind of show I've been able to kind of attended for a while. The first one was Vector Pass that I attended in Dublin, October 19. But this will be oh yeah, and Roots Tech. But obviously,
Yeah.
this is much more local. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to go to Roots Tech anyway. But this, I would have a better chance if obviously we
Yeah,
weren't in the
getting it virtual, it makes it so much more accessible. I mean, we've basically, although we've had 3 years, we had the first physical event, and then not really an event last year, and then we've had to completely rework it to get everything online. So we've had to kind of completely design the platform from scratch and what we wanted it to look like and feel like, and how it was going to interact with the users and everything else. It's been quite an interesting challenge because I'm not particularly technical. So we've had to get a lot of people on board behind the scenes to really build it the way we want it, and also to put our vision on the web. We knew what we wanted it to be, but we didn't know how to do it. So yeah, it's been a very interesting time, and we've still got obviously 4 weeks to get it all up and running, but the Wizards Corner is already open.
Yes, and if you go to the Gen Show's Twitter account or any social media platforms, you can find a link to, or mine. Yeah, I was tweeting about it earlier. You can find a link to register for a session with any of the wizards, including David Ryan, Janet Few, and Michelle Leonard, and more, and Angra. So go to them if you want to hopefully get a brick wall busted, which I will be doing, or try to do. It's one I really hope I can bust. So what started it all off for you in genealogy?
Genealogy, it's in my genes. Literally, it is. My grandpa was doing our family history long before the internet was invented. And my mum took over the mantle. And when I was a child, I started doing it with her. And actually, when you look back, my grandpa, his mum was interested and her mum was interested as well. So it really has followed down the family line. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's only one line, but we've got a lot of information on that line and letters that have gone between some of those people over the years. And my grandpa wrote a handwritten family tree, which we still have, of course, and we've photocopied and scribbled all over it a million times, added to it, subtracted from it, gone, what does that mean? But yeah, so he started it off, and I really started looking at family history documents when I was really small. I kind of think it's about 6 or 7 years of age. And yeah, I kind of wish that my grandparents were still here now and they could actually see what I've done and how I've made it into a profession. Because I think probably back when my grandpa was doing it, you couldn't have really made a career out of it. So yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm the same, because I mean, when I started, which would be early 2017, my grandfather, which is the only grandparent I still had, he passed away that May. So, and like, I mean, I've come a long way. And I mean, like you said, it's kind of, you know, you want to show, like, kind of, especially like your grandparents, like kind of how far you've come, and kind of, I can totally understand from your point of view, especially, you know, with, you know, the business that you made, the show that you made, and, you know, just all and probably all the research you've done in your own family when you can find the time.
Yeah. Busted, as you were saying, some of the brick walls that my grandpa clearly had, or he'd sort of got question marks on the family tree. And I'm like, I wish I could tell you I've cracked it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. So many times I wish I could do that. But
yeah.
Sadly, I don't think genealogists have invented a way of doing that just yet.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll just have to make sure we keep good records so that they can be passed on.
Yeah, that's all we can do. So, I almost skipped the question. What resources have you found most helpful in your research?
I think there's so many, to be honest. It would be difficult to name one. I mean, I started obviously a long time before you did, and I had to go up to the archives up in London when you didn't even have the BMDs at all online. So I think I'd say that the 2 commercial sites, I mean, yes, they are commercial, yes, they are, you know, fee paying, but just having things at the touch of a button just makes research so much quicker and more accessible. So I think just having things online. I mean, I suppose if I had to pick one resource, I'd probably say Tithe Maps is one of my favorites. So you can actually see the plots of land and who owned it and who was the occupier, pre-census, because that's for us 1837. So yeah, I think that for me would probably be the resource that I love the most.
And yeah, I there are so many things I need to delve into but haven't. But now that I'm off
You have a
school,
lot of time to do that, Daniel.
yeah,
It's okay.
I know, but it's like no. Anyway, this is probably the one question that I have I probably don't need to ask because we kind of covered it at the start. But was what projects and ventures are you currently pursuing?
Yeah, we've kind of covered a bit of it, but soon I'm going to put my speaker site live because I haven't really done too much speaking. I've kind of focused on my business for the last year, for obvious reasons. So I've got a speaker site which will be going live in the next month or so people can actually book whatever they want through there, and they can see some of the lectures that I already have in the can, so to speak. So I suppose that's, aside from the obvious, that's probably my other project that I'm trying to get to kind of sorted out at the moment. So yeah, that will hopefully be, as I say, live in the next couple of weeks or a month.
So, is there anything you now know that you wish you knew when you started?
I don't think there's anything I now know I wish I knew at the beginning, but something I wish I was better at from the beginning is when I used to go to archives. Yeah, you take a photocopy of something or you search through a record set, and I was absolutely terrible at actually noting on the back of the photocopy where that actual record was from. So I've got fantastic copies of marriages that I've copied from 1600 and whatever, 1700 and whatever, but because they're not on the top, or it doesn't say marriages in whatever parish, I have no clue where they were actually from because I didn't put a little pencil note on the back of where they were. And I also didn't keep good records of when I didn't find things. And I don't think many people do, because if you don't find it, then there's nothing to write about. But actually, I must have searched through certain parishes a billion times. And funnily enough, the record wasn't there the first time, nor the second time, nor the third or fourth or fifth. I mean, it's definitely worth searching more than once, just in case you missed it, because the writing's really bad. But I think I've searched through certain parishes a lot more times than I really needed to.
Wow.
So yeah, I think not so much something I wish I knew, but something I wish I did.
Yeah, I could understand that. It might be handy to make notes, just a little. So, what aspect of genealogy do you love the most? So, like finding records, seeing old photos, like telling stories.
I think I love the thrill of the chase, and I love the research when it's not easy. So I've just been doing a whole pile of research, even literally like an hour ago, and it was the Smith family. Yay, we all love a Smith. And it's even better when two of them marry Smiths as well. So I love a puzzle I love it when it's hard. Like if I'm doing research for either a client or if it's an air tracing job, I like it when it's hard. I don't want it to be simple. I don't want it to just kind of shake the tree and it falls out. So I like it when it's like a Jewish case. I really love Jewish research because it's often you get name changes, anglicized names, or just completely made up surnames that were nothing like what they should have been. Well, not should have been, but were before. So yeah, I think the research, I just literally dogged research is still my favorite part of genealogy. I do love stories, and when I'm speaking to people about the air tracing side of what we do, I love the bit of actually knowing something about the person whose estate you're likely to be looking at. So I've got one case at the moment, obviously won't name names, but he was an only child. His father rather was born in the northeast of England, parents married in Hackney, and he was an only child. And I knew nothing about this guy. Literally, I had a name and that was it. And as I spoke to lots of members of the family, they were like, oh, well, he was a jeweler, I think. And I was like, oh, okay. So the next person I spoke to, I was like, oh, I hear that he was a jeweler by trade. And then somebody said, oh, well, that was because he was deaf. So he didn't have to like engage with people so much because it's fairly sort of isolated industry, apparently, back in the day, less so now. and it's just building up that picture as you kind of go along. So yeah, so I think the stories are always key, because none of us just want the birth, the marriage, and the death. We want more to it than just that.
Yeah, and I guess it's also a case of if you can find the stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've said many a time, and I won't go into it because I'm trying to cut down on the amount I ramble. But a lot of the time I can't find anything on a lot of my family members. The joke I always kind of say, oh, they're very good at evading capture or evading, documentation, especially in newspapers. So I struggle to find some people in them. Oh, well.
Yeah, it just takes a bit more of a dig, doesn't it, than the kind of bog standard research.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you never know. Something might turn up, and then kind of think, oh, I didn't know that, and I like that. Hopefully. So, what's an interesting story or event that you've discovered about your ancestors?
I suppose my most famous ancestor was my great grandpa, who I sadly didn't meet, but I think he got, first of all, an MBE or an OBE, and then was eventually knighted by the Queen. And he sadly passed away a couple of years, 6 years before I was born. But we've got lots of documents that have been passed down, because it's my mum's side, so it's my mum's dad's dad. So he kept it all. So we've got photographs of when he went to the palace, and him dressed up, and letters that he got congratulating him for his awards and things like that. So I don't think we still have any medals. I don't recall ever seeing them, but yeah, that's my most famous ancestor. He was Sir Albert James Taylor Day, no less. And all of those names, well, apart from the Sir, all of those were his at birth. It wasn't that he added them later. He was Albert James Taylor Day. So.
Oh, so like 3 names on the birth cert and then Day.
It makes him a lot easier to find, even if I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, it kind of would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame that he called his children David and Michael, with no middle names.
Bit harder.
Yeah, but I know who they are, so that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you were like a distant cousin, and you're kind of thinking, oh, are these his children? You don't know.
And then what happens to David Day? Yeah, not quite so simple.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of help if you had like a middle name. I mean,
would have been lovely.
I'd say if a lot of my ancestors put middle names, it would have helped me find people a bit easier. I think
Absolutely.
Of all, kind of 2 of my ancestors, they're not my direct, they're kind of like siblings of 2 twins. You had Sarah Jane and Ellie Agnes.
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It was easy to find them then, but I mean, not with ones like John or Mary. No. Why would you give them a middle name?
No. Well, like John Davies in Wales. Why would you give him a middle name?
Because why would there need to be? I mean, it probably have more than one name. Kind of in your family history, there wasn't John or Mary or Bridget or no, just one of the beans that we wish didn't really happen much. So what we may have touched on this, but what kind of record do you like the most, and why?
Parish records, because parish records often give you more than your birth or marriage. Well, you wouldn't get a birth certificate anyway, but the baptisms often give you more than a birth certificate might. And burials pre-1837, which is civil registration here, you can often get cause of death on the burials in the parish records if you're lucky. You basically just have to be lucky in your with the rector or the curate for your area. But for my one place study, or studies I should say, of Tetcott and Luffencott, I'm really lucky that Tetcott has got a brilliant rector and curate over the years who in all the burials writes something about, you know, what they died of, or something about the person, which is just absolutely priceless. And I've got somebody who was drowned by his mother in the lake. I've got a couple of people who died of like measles. So you can see that there was a measles problem in that area, not epidemic, but, you know, a problem at that time. And then it was sort of like, say, Thomas Silliphant, and then it was say Thomas Silliphant, son of the above. So you kind of get the connections, which is amazing. And that's like 1831, I think, from memory. So yeah, I love those where it gives you the extra information that you might not otherwise get. And I've got a 1895 birth certificate for an Owen Silliphant. A bit Silliphant driven this, but for Owen Silliphant, which doesn't have a father's name on it, but the non-conformist baptism records state who his father is. So yeah, I love those.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit of extra detail on the records I deal with.
Yeah.
But then again, that's even if I could find the parish records of ancestors, because like it's kind of, you have some on the NLI website, but kind of the year ranges I need, which is 1881 maybe onwards for a particular parish, are not online. So I'd have to actually, you know, go up to the church, which I think is either Kilchima or Bahola. I can't remember which one, but I'd have to go up to the actual church and see if I can look through the parish records. But I mean, not going to be happening at the moment, because I mean, who knows what we're even going to do. But hopefully normality will greet us again one day.
Yes, whatever that new normality looks like.
Yeah. But hopefully a bit like the old normality, because I quite like that one. But I know they kind of say, you know, out with the old, in with the new, but also I kind of, in this case, I don't really want out with the old. Out with the old was nice, and I like that out, and I like that old. I don't really want to know what the new bit is, but
no, certainly something to write in our genealogical memoirs for the future.
Yep. And I mean, if we kind of think, you know, descendants, they'll probably, it's kind of, and I mean, Tyler, the Hidden Branch, he wrote a piece on, you know, genealogy research in 2050. And I mean, it'd be kind of, you know, interesting to kind of see what our descendants would kind of be like trying to research our lives. Would it be like stored on like the Internet Archive or something, and, you know, you just go there and find stuff.
Certainly changes a lot over time.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what happens. So, what does genealogy mean to you?
It's everything. It's like life, isn't it? It's pretty. It's like, pretty much, it's my life. No, someone said to me the other day, because I offered to call her on a Saturday. And she said, "Oh, no, I don't want to interrupt your weekend." I said, "Angela, I don't think you understand. This is my life. It's not just a job. This is my world, you know." And I know that sounds a bit stupid, like I don't have a work-life balance, but I love it. So why would I not want to do it whenever I can? So yeah, it's everything.
Yeah. And yeah, right answer is probably the only, probably the only thing I can reply to that.
Everything I do is genealogy. Well, occasionally I go out with friends, but you know.
Good, you're not totally isolated yourself just to your computer, just kind of, you know, hunched over the keyboard.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
So, for anyone watching, if you have any questions for Kirsty, do get them in. So that you don't miss your chance, and we will be talking about the genealogy show later. So if you have any questions about that, see aforementioned answer. So what advice would you give to a young person starting out in genealogy?
Get out there and get involved. That's pretty much what I did, not even realizing that I was going to do what I do now. So I started writing for magazines that don't even exist anymore. And in fact, my first article was "I'm too young for family history," which was quite apt, I think. So yeah, and I got involved with a lot of societies and things, not the ones necessarily that I'm involved with now, other ones that I've been involved with before, and just got out there and got to know people. And when I started, it's not the same as for you now.
Yeah.
We didn't have Facebook and Twitter. Apparently there was a life before the internet, who knew? But but it was more, you went out and you went, and I helped run committees just like I do now. And it's get out and get involved, and just don't be afraid, which you're not, and I don't think many people from the hidden branch are either. Just get out there. Yeah, you're a little bit nervy sometimes, but you're getting out there, and get your name known, even if it's just kind of like people know who you are. You don't have to do anything stand out. It's just be out there and be known, and be present on, well, now social media and stuff like that. Just be around. And for me, as I say, it was different, because for me, I had to go places and help on societies and stuff like that. But just get involved. You're never too young. I started later than you in terms of getting involved online and things like that, because we didn't have all of that. But it's just get out there and get involved.
And I think that's a good way of putting it, because I mean, like you said, obviously times change, and they are still changing, especially now.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of think, oh, it's going to stay like this. It's all going to be online, and it's all going to be on the the paywall sites or something, or it's and like everything in archives will be digitized. I mean, if any archive like contents do de-digitizing, I'm happy to help.
Well, that's it. I was literally going to say that, get involved with some of those projects. It is giving up your time to help to further the industry, and help people have access to those records. I transcribed God knows how much back in the day. I did marriage challenges at the London Metropolitan Archives, and looked up marriages for literally hundreds of people, and scrolled through and tried to work out where the marriages were, so people didn't have to spend, well, £7 back in the day, £11 now. In fact, £6.50 when I first started, actually. £6.50, then £7, then £9.25, then £11. So I've saved people hundreds of pounds by transcribing the marriages.
And as well, kind of, talking about transcribing, even if it's not necessarily, you're going out and you're helping like physical archives, even if you do like things for like
online
sites now, like GNet or US National Archives or Family Search, even if it's just, doing transcribing from then, doing it for 15 minutes a day. I tweeted about this earlier, and it's kind of, the birth record or any record that you're looking at was all transcribed. Like, it wasn't, it wasn't just, you feed in records like into a machine and it just like, scans them and then transcribes them like AI or something. It wasn't like that. It was all transcribed by people.
Manual,
Yeah. Granted, you made the odd slip up. That's human error.
Standard, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to happen. A funny thing that I came across, I was going through hints, and this got retweeted by WTF Genealogy, which is kind of funny. It was a hint for someone in my family, and under the kind of, it was a census, 1911 census, I think, and it had said that, under the marital status, it had said not married, and then next to that in brackets, married, and I kind of, took a picture of that, kind of saying, you either are or you aren't. There's no kind of in between. You're not, well, I'm half married, or
I'm kind of
married or quarter married. Like, you either are or you aren't. And I mean, at that point, I don't think he was married. I think he got married in 1910, late 1910s, early 20s. So I don't know what was going on there, but look, I don't know. So there's that as well. So, with times changing and more young people getting involved in family history, do you think that it's kind of like an outlet for them to kind of, connect with their people their own age and, just collaborate with others?
There's not that many. I think it's creating those. I think, you and the Hidden Branch team have done a fantastic job creating that together. But I think, the events that are run, I don't think there's a huge amount. I mean, you briefly mentioned Roots Tech earlier on, they have one ambassador that does 2 years worth of service, but I believe they have to be an LDS member to do that. You know, I've been to Roots Tech for 6 years now, and I've met each one of those as they've rolled through the process. But they have the Families Day that they have on the Saturday, but I don't think it's kind of like they go, but I don't think they really engage with it. So I think it's really important, and that's what we've tried to do with the Gen Show, to create that environment and create the opportunity for people to kind of have that platform. And some people have sort of looked, because we've put out some of the graphics and things for what the show looks like, and some people said, you know, it looks really childish. Well, we're trying to make it accessible for everyone and not make it really professional and far too corporate. So hopefully that will attract all sorts of people.
Oh yeah, and so the bits that you like you said you put up, like I mean it does look nice, and I mean it doesn't look like you said professional. It doesn't look like it's a professional business. It looks so extravagant. It's not that. It's just just kind of it's gonna sound stupid when I say this, but it kind of looks casual. As in, it doesn't look like
it looks fun rather than like business like.
Yeah. So I mean, like you do excel in that section, I think, for the website, definitely. And when that timer eventually goes down to 0 day, 0 month, 0 weeks, 0 days, 0 minutes, 0 seconds,
0 hours, 0 seconds, yeah.
I will. Granted, it might be like 2 a.m. or something. I get up to look at dogs. They might be seen after.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so seeing as we're talking about the Gen Show, that's happening in less than a month, so 25th and 6th of June, and the talks will be available for a month after the live show, we'll call it, actually happens. So there's a Wizard's Corner, an Exhibitor's Zone. What else is there? Or am I getting?
Games room, library, all sorts. There's still stuff that we haven't announced yet, but yeah, there's a games room, so there's lots of different things in there. There's a community area, so I think the exhibitors have hit over 50 now, and they just keep coming in, because being a virtual event, I think a lot of people are leaving it quite late, because they don't have to schedule people going somewhere and make all the travel arrangements. They can just go, we fancy doing it. So yeah, we've had lots of new exhibitors book even just in the last week. So yeah, we've got Vivid Picks, My Heritage, Who Do You Think You Are magazine. Lots of the big, Ancestry and Find My Past, I don't think I've done any shows this year. So Living DNA are on board with us. So yeah, we've got lots of really good people, and some people that have never exhibited here in the UK before. So I think the fact that it's an online platform has meant that they can actually get involved with a UK based show, but because it's online, location is not important. So yeah, we've got lots of really good exhibitors.
Yeah, and so people will be able to kind of, can you tell us kind of how it works? Do you kind of just go to a place and you see like a list or something, or?
Yeah, so there's one particular area of the website that will have all the exhibitors, so they'll be in like little huts, because it's all sort of based on a forest theme, so it's like little huts, and then you can click on it, and then people have got times where they'll be available. So some of it's on live chat, some of it's on Zoom. Same with the Wizards. I think most of them are doing Zoom, so you can book the Wizards for a particular time, and then you can connect with them on their own Zoom link. So there's lots of technical wizardry behind the scenes to make it all work beautifully. There's lots of videos, so that when you click on the hut, you can kind of see a video of each of the exhibitors. They've got a video that they've put on there. There's some interesting new ones. I'm just trying to think of the new ones. There's Photo Mine, Beginner Book. So Beginner Book is actually local to where I live. So it's kind of to help you write the book that's within. So it's packages to help you, and the person who runs the company, she basically helps you create that book from your information, and then she helps like edit and put all the photos in and create the artwork and everything like that. So she's never exhibited at a genealogy show before, and she's really excited. I saw her yesterday, so that'll be an interesting addition. We didn't have anything like that at the first physical show, so
yeah. No, that I'm really excited to see. For those of you who might have missed it, it's my first show, but I mean, it's a case of I do and I don't count it as my first show, because I mean, it's my first kind of thing that I recorded or kind of like did, but kind of it's not like my first live one, if you get what I mean. Kind of it's not like I'm there looking at people, or looking at a camera with people in like a Zoom meeting or something. Like, it's not like that. But I mean, I'm hopefully people like it. I'm hoping they do. So that's streaming live at 6. I got the time wrong last time I said this to a friend. 6:40 p.m. in the UK. So 1 p.m. Eastern and 8.
They'll be able to work it out, Daniel, wherever they are.
Yeah, I know. I'm clued up with time zones because I deal with them quite a lot. Look at a time conversion site. So I'm presenting at that. And is there anything else? So if people wanted to buy tickets for the show,
so it's the genealogyshow.uk, and all the information is on the website, and you can buy tickets from there. So yeah, we've got 4 weeks. Go along and have a look and see what there is. All of the talks are kind of scheduled, but they're all also on demand, so you can see them in the on demand as well. So they're also scheduled in, but then you can watch it whenever. It's just the interactive stuff is obviously when it's live.
So is there anything else you can tell us that you haven't told us already
about the show?
Yeah.
No, I'm sworn to secrecy. I can't tell you anything else.
Had to try. Oh well.
You did, but no, sworn to secrecy. My lips are sealed.
Fair enough. So
I think the best thing to say, Daniel, as you know, is keep an eye on our socials, because that's where we put all the information out. So Twitter, Facebook. Twitter's the main one, really. I think that's where we get most engagement and most people watch what we're saying. So, but yeah, Twitter and Facebook. Follow us, have a look, see what's going on, find out more as we make announcements. Because the Wizards were only yesterday. We only announced the Wizards Corner was open yesterday.
And so you heard Kirsty, so definitely go and check it out if you haven't already. And I think on that note, we shall end. So thank you so much, Kirsty, for coming on. And
no trouble at all.
And you've been a lovely guest, and it's been good finding more out about the show, although kind of a recap, because you haven't actually told us anything new. I'm kidding. So see you all next week, and stay tuned for my next guest. Bye, everyone.
Bye.